Hello, doctors and students. Welcome back to the UCM Podcast. This is Dr. Bill Davis, your host for today's episode. And on today's episode, very excited to have Dr. Devin Young and Dr. Jeanett Tapia from San Diego, California. Welcome to the podcast, docs.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to have you on the podcast. Dr. Young and Dr. Tapia have a great practice in San Diego. I'd love to have you introduce yourselves to our audience. If anybody out there that doesn't know you, tell us about yourselves.
Sure. Well, I'm Dr. Devin Young and obviously Dr. Jeanett Tapia. We practice NUCCA. We are right in the heart of San Diego in Mission Valley.
Yeah. Hi there. I'm Dr. Tapia. And like Dr. Young said, we're here in Southern California. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Nice. So, tell us a little about your guys' background. How did you get into upper cervical chiropractic? What's some of your history and in practice, your journey, and so forth?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So kind of different stories here. I think I can tell you mine first. Is that I wasn't always an upper cervical practitioner, right? So coming out of school, I was a full spine guy, ART, Gonstead, diversified SOT, all the things. And that's what I did for the first several years in practice, right? And slowly, I just kind of started to notice that everybody I saw, no matter who they were, whether it was an Olympic athlete or a weekend warrior, or a stay-at-home mom, or kids, whoever, all of them had some sort of problem in the neck, right? And it just kind of couldn't get away from me. If that was the case, then why?
Yeah.
And kind of followed that deep, dark rabbit hole.
Right.
Just started following that path, right? And going through and learning more and more about it. And the next thing you know, go to a NUCCA seminar on one weekend, and on Monday, everybody was a NUCCA patient.
That's how it went, huh? Yeah.
That was that, right?
Right.
That's pretty much how it went. It wasn't quite that smooth, but
Yeah.
That's the short version, at least.
Yeah.
And then, it's just kind of grown from there. And then now we have a full blown NUCCA practice and with diplomate program and everything else. And
Yeah. You're all in on upper cervical now. You went through the 3-year diplomate, right?
That was definitely a commitment.
Yeah.
Program. But no, I discovered upper cervical in school. And I was getting traditional chiropractic care. I hadn't really had a lot of aches and pains prior to that, so I couldn't really connect as a, back pain type patient, which is what I thought chiropractic was at the time. And then I heard somebody come and speak at school about it. And I was like, well, it sounds really different and really interesting, and became a patient, and then just completely made a left turn, and didn't look back.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were into NUCCA right away, or upper cervical, right, coming out of school.
Right.
Took Devin a while to convert, right, to figure it out and everything, right? So
took a while. Yeah.
It took a while.
Yeah. I mean, there was, even in school, I was like, there's no way. No way I'm doing that.
Right. Yeah.
It just wasn't in my consciousness, really, right? It wasn't in my I don't want to say philosophy, but it just wasn't really in my understanding of what chiropractic was. And at that time, I mean, I had never experienced it, and it was just kind of foreign. I was like, why would I just do that? That's weird.
Yeah. And everybody thinks that like I talked him into it, or, that we were in practice for a while, and that I had him come over to, practice the way, but it was 100% not that way. I think it's important that everybody come, have their own walk and figure it out for themselves.
He figured it out on his own, right?
Yeah, I looked at all the techniques, right? I looked at ortho and AO and Blair and knee chest, and like it really wasn't. I mean, she obviously had an influence, but it was not pushed on me.
Yeah. Well, and I also did full spine my first 2 years in associate position, and then converted to NUCCA as well.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I have a similar background as you in the sense of I was taking care of patients in full spine care for 2 years. And like you said, man, everybody's got a neck problem, right? And it's and then you start realizing, man, why do I have to adjust these people so much? Maybe it's because we're not really clearing that neck effectively. So yeah, that was my journey too, and going through all the techniques and then finding my way to upper cervical. So
I didn't realize you had done that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, okay. So you guys started your own practice together coming out of school, right?
That's
And
right.
so, yeah. And what was that like? What was those first few years like?
It was a lot of work. It was, and we had, and some people know the story, but we're in San Diego now, and we've been here for 12 years, but this was not our first practice, right? So coming out of school, it's a variety of things. I mean, there was a couple of, I think we're both from California, and we were kind of thinking, hey, maybe this is our chance to leave California. It's cost of business, lifestyle, everything else. Like maybe it's just time to find a small town, something different. So we were coaching with a program at the time that recommended Texas. So we said, yeah, that's all right. Let's do that. Work. So we went to Texas and we opened up our first practice there. We were there we spent 3 months going door to door,
knocking on 1,000 doors.
Community, and you might have heard some of these strategies. And what we quickly realized was, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of effort. And one of the things we found through this whole process was that while we got the practice up and running, and by in a lot of ways, it was very successful. Like we opened the doors, people just coming in. I mean, it was at that point, things were just kind of like rolling. And I want to say we're up to like 100 visits a week after like less than a month. Like it was like just on a great trajectory. But what we kind of learned was that where we were was not really where we wanted to spend the rest of our life. Right. And we had put all this work in this, and we had just kind of been so focused on getting the office up and going and doing whatever we had to do to make that work, which we did. But then when we had a moment, it was like, oh yeah, but now we're here.
Right.
And there's nothing, not that there is totally bad, but if we just kind of realized it wasn't where we wanted to spend the rest of our life. And if we had known that we were going to be there for 3 years or 4 years or 2 years, like maybe it would have been different, but like it was very difficult to look at that as to continue doing that when we realized that's not where we were more or less like supposed to be, or kind of where our hearts were.
Right.
So we had to make that decision, and we were fortunate to be able to sell the practice and head back. We're both from California, so made the decision to come back. Yeah.
So came back and then did it again, right? Started another practice. Well, hopefully you already had some lessons and some understanding of the second time around to make it a little bit easier, huh?
Right. But I think it's important that you just make a decision and go with it. You know what I mean? Like, just because, so many people are so afraid to make mistakes or what they consider a mistake. And it's like, that can just freeze you and then you don't do anything. So you just have to pivot, like over and over and over again. And that's just business, right? I mean, that's part of the key. Being a great chiropractor is also being able to run your business, right? Run your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So then came out to San Diego, started the second practice. And what was it like that, getting that one started and getting ingrained in this community that you actually wanted to live in long term?
Yeah. So, you're right. This was the second time we've done this, right? So it was a little bit different. And in some ways it's easier. In some ways it's more challenging, I guess, right? Because it's also a different community and things kind of, you can't do some of the same things. And it's just kind of, people are different, society's different. But it was still, I think there's no shortcuts, right? Just because you've been through it, I think it's more like we understand the expectations, but I can't say it was necessarily easier. I don't know if you feel
right. It's just a completely different market. Different market.
And ultimately, I think there's no shortcut for the work that needs to be done.
Mhm.
Right. Like, and you just it takes work. It takes time. It takes putting yourself out there. It takes the energy to lift it, get that practice up and going. And yeah, we knew the expectations, but again, there was no shortcut to it with the possible, but just knowing also there was a part of it, knowing like, hey, we've done it. We can do it again.
Right.
Like that was comforting.
Sure.
Right. And it
Having
made
that confidence.
Yeah, I think confidence
that
is the
was
right
possible.
word, but it doesn't make it easier.
Right.
Yeah. You still got to put the work in, right?
That's exactly right. But it was, just knowing what to be done was a little bit. We were able to facilitate things a little quicker, I would say.
Right.
And not streamline some things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure even just the benefit of being able to take care of a lot of patients in Texas before you came to San Diego was helpful, right? Just having those patient experiences and being able to, I mean, even all the door-to-door surveys, I know I did those too. Those do help you. They build up your confidence. They build up your communication skills, your interaction skills, and all those kinds of things. So that was it. So getting the practice going in San Diego, those first few years, what were some of the lessons that you learned, even maybe with building a team or interacting with patients, or what was some of the things that you really picked up on in those first few years in San Diego?
I think I'll speak to that. I think really building, having a really great team members was critical. You just can't be everywhere all the time. Like somebody has to answer the phone. You're in the back taking x-rays. You can't expect to do everything on your own. And I think sometimes that gets lost, and really being able to help them grow as well, right? And then also have them embrace chiropractic, because for most people that, join our group is like they've never been a chiropractic patient or they don't understand the philosophy. And so bringing them along, that, knowing and trusting their bodies, right, that they have the ability to heal is like really important. So if you have a team member that doesn't have that same vitalistic philosophy, it makes it pretty hard for them to come to work, right?
Sure.
And so that was really important for me to help them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you said, getting your team on the same page with you when it comes to your philosophy, what you're doing with patients, helping them to understand, because like you said, it's very uncommon for a team member to have any chiropractic background, let alone an upper cervical chiropractic background. And so you've got to educate them and train them just as you would a patient, right? To understand what's going on with their bodies, what's going on with, what you're doing with patients and all that kind of thing, like you said. But also, what have you found as far as building systems and those types of things as it relates to your team?
I'll take that. So, I mean, Dr. Tapia is really good at that stuff, at building those up with the team and creating systems for them. That's really something that you've done really, really well. But it's so critical, right, to have the expectations put in place and to just building everything going in the same direction. Right? Because the wrong person or even the right person in the wrong place can make a difference, can put a cog in the wheel, right? Like it can start to slow things down. So it's not just having the right people, but having the right people in the right places and having proper expectations for them and for us, right? Because in something she always says, it when it comes to the patient, it's their experience, right? It's ultimately everything on their side comes down to results, time, and money, right? And so when we start slowing those things down, right, that becomes a problem, and that's something that needs to be congruent through the entire staff. What's the patient experience like for them from the moment they call?
Yes.
Or really even maybe before that, from the moment they see your website or they hear about you, right? To them start to looking at your reviews, to them making the call to that first interaction with the staff person, to them coming into the room and meeting them and seeing the office and seeing the different things that are going on and the different staff people. And like, it needs to be congruent experience the entire way through that meets the expectations that they probably already had before they even came in.
Right. So that things match.
Or exceed that. But they need congruency of staff and experience is so critically important to really their whole journey as a patient.
And but we don't just take that up on chance, right? Like we train, we do procedures and scripts, and so that the patient is ultimately at the center of that experience. Yeah. Do you have something?
No, I think it's just patient-centered experience, right? Like and congruency throughout. That's I mean, that's really what it comes down to, because we're here for them and because of them, right?
Because of them, right? I mean, that's the gist. And one of the things I always repeat this is that I never take it for granted when a patient walks in the door, whether it's the first time or the 100th time. It doesn't matter. Like, they took the time to get in their car, drive over, right? And spend their time, resources, right, to come and see us. And so whether we're having a good day or a bad day, it doesn't matter. Like, we're there for them. And like, I never take that for granted. So I'll repeat that to our team so that they're reminded, like, it's so important that I feel patients don't just come for the treatment, right? They come because they want hope, they want answers, they want results. And so never ever taking that for granted. I think that's really important. And I always repeat that over and over. Yeah,
that's huge, right? Is keeping the why as the focus, right? Is so crucial for doctors, but also for team members, right? That it's that why they you need to be driven by that mission, driven by that purpose of why are they there? We're there to serve them. How can we help them? And what you said too, that I thought was really important is making sure that you have reproducible experiences, right? That it's not a different experience every time they come, but like you said, having that intentionality behind what you're doing and making, that you've thought it through, that you've talked it over with your team, that you've practiced, that you've trained on these things so that a new patient that's coming in today is going to get this, a very similar experience than one that came in last week or last month, right? It's that every patient matters and their experience matters every time, right?
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's I always say this, like, this is someone's mom, right? Like, this is someone's grandmother. Like, we really get to know our patients. And so it's important that we don't take that for granted.
That's right. And so, you mentioned that you guys, you do training, right? And what's some of your, what's your training schedule, your rhythms of training and whatnot when it comes to both with you guys and also with your team?
Go ahead.
It's a weekly training.
Yep.
We check in, and sometimes it's a little bit longer, sometimes it's shorter. The topics change just depending on the needs of the practice, but we just go back to the basics, every week, and it's just always rotating. So we don't leave it to chance. And of course, we have team meetings. We're always checking in and making sure that we're all staying cohesive, right, for that patient experience, and giving it our best, really.
And it's as I'm sitting here thinking about this, like, we all train, right? Chiropractors, we all go to seminars, especially upper cervical. We all try to refine their techniques, right? Like, slipping and checking, right? So there's a reason that we go, and we shouldn't think that the staff don't need that as well, right? Because things morph, things happen in time, right? And things just kind of, skills degrade if they're not consistently monitored and consistently checked on. So really important.
It is. But yeah, we pretty much weekly. That's where we're at right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, the slipping and checking principle isn't just for chiropractors, right? It's for every single person in really on that works on the planet, but definitely, within your practice, right? Every single person will begin to slip. They'll begin to, go on autopilot, or they'll begin to do things not the way that you don't want them to do, right? It's, I think about this so often with our clients, because part of our system is we have call recording, right? So when people call into the office and they start listening to their new patient phone calls for the first time, right? And it's an eye opener for a lot of doctors, right? Because they have no idea what's going on those calls, because they're back seeing patients.
Yeah. Right.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, wow, we should probably start training more.
Right. And I do want to say, like, I think as a whole, employees, staff, team members, like they all want to do their best. Right. I think, so I definitely have a lot of empathy, because it's hard sometimes. Right. And so, like, I also don't take it for granted that, when they show up to work every day. Right. And so, like, also giving them the right tools, right, to be like, okay, we can answer this way or try it this way, and because it's just possible they didn't even think of it, right? Listening to calls is it's pretty eye-opening sometimes.
But like you said too, it's really your responsibility, our responsibility as leaders within our business, within a practice, whatever it is, to equip those that we're leading. Right. And so much of that, like you said, is training and role playing and redirecting, like, oh, okay, well, yeah, you answered that question, but maybe you could answer it, a different way, and it might be more effective. Right. And being able to show them that, it's not that you're trying to tear them down or it's like you said, they have the best of intentions, right? Their heart is in the right place. Because what I always say about any team member is the biggest thing that matters is do they care?
Right.
If they care, you can work everything else out, right? You can figure out the rest of it, and you can get into the specifics of it. But sometimes, people just say weird things. So.
And
absolutely.
I'm sitting here thinking, and I don't know if I guess I'm gonna say it, but it's also important to realize when someone isn't the right fit.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens, right? Like we're really fortunate. We have a great group right now, but it doesn't always, sometimes it's not the right fit. And we can't just hang on to people because they're there. Right? If they're not right, we have to recognize and find the right person.
Yeah. Because
we can't get too desperate.
Yeah. It's it's a lose-lose, like nobody wins. Right. And that's just no fun that way.
It really is. Yeah. And it's really not, it's not best for the team member, right? It's because so many times we hold on to somebody because it's like, it's going to be a lot of work to replace them, or we're too busy. Right. But there's a reason why it's, one of the words for firing is to release them, right? It's to release them to go work someplace where they would do better, right? Like where they would be more successful with their skill set, with who they are as a person, all that kind of stuff, right? And so, it's, you owe it to not just your practice and to your patients, but also to the person, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
So, let's talk about hiring. You say you got a great team right now. I mean, I'm sure you've learned some things over the years about what does it take to hire good team members? What are some of the things that you've found that are really important?
So for me, I've spent a lot of time on this, thinking about it, meditating on it. The things that are super, like 3 key things that are super important to me, that yes, you can train. Yes, you can, provide all the training you want, but you really need three qualities. And, whether somebody, as a doctor or working, at the front desk, it doesn't matter. They need to be able to problem solve, right? Because things are always coming at you and you need to think on your feet, right? And so somebody that can definitely problem solve on their own, right? If they need assistance, obviously, we're there. Somebody that has a really great attitude, right? You can't train attitude, right? You either have a good attitude or you don't.
Right.
And, the other thing is to be able to be a critical thinker right? That goes with problem solving. And just really being able to be a team player, right? Like we're not just working on our own, so if you need help, you need better to say, hey, I need help, or hey, I can handle this, right? So definitely team player, attitude, and of course, like I said, problem solving. Those are the three things, and everything else we can train on, but those three I think are key to just possess, naturally.
No, I love that. And like you said, the attitude is the beginning of it, right? Like that's that caring, right? Do you care about this work that we're doing here, the people that we care for, and having that. Yeah, I mean, if you can't adapt to situations, it's very difficult to work in a busy upper cervical practice, right? You have to be able to. Every day is different, right? You're going to have things that are going to happen. And then, of course, being part of that team is crucial. That ideal team player. It's one of the books that we love around here. Patrick Lencioni's book, Ideal Team Player. But really thinking about that and understanding that there are characteristics of an ideal team player. So, and speaking of teams, I know you guys are looking to grow your team, and it's a time, it's exciting time, right? Where you're looking to bring on another doctor into the practice. And so I'd love to hear you guys talk about that and talk about, the type of person you're looking for and what this situation really is at the practice for an associate.
Yeah.
Yeah, too.
Okay. So, as far as what we're looking for, I mean, I think that what Dr. Tapia just said, team player, attitude, like someone who can kind of multitask and see different things, because I think we're a busy office. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? And you have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be able to think critically, and just kind of know, and keeping in mind the patient's always at the front of everything. So having that attitude is just so important. And for us, we're just kind of at the place in our practice where we're kind of maxed out, right? As far as like what we can accommodate, it's been the two of us, and we've gotten great results, and we're at a good place, but there's no more room in the office we don't want to just expand the hours. We don't want to we can't physically do that. So we need someone to come in and be able to help us with that, right? And take on some of the adjusting and be able to have patient interactions and help us grow the practice, in the way that it's already growing. We're just keep kind of buttoned up to the same ceilings and kind of, like I said, we've kind of reached our max and need some help with that. So that we're looking for, just bring someone in who can help us do that and help us continue to take care of more people in a great way through NUCCA and upper cervical. And, we also do decompression therapy, which has been super helpful for a lot of people. And, we have some technology that we combine with things, but I mean, NUCCA and upper cervical is always the base of everything. So
it's definitely our foundation. But I think that's important too, is, as we're looking to expand our team, is someone that's open-minded, right? I think that's really important. And because there's so much technology nowadays, and patients love technology, and technology works. So it's, again, a win-win-win all the way around. And the other thing too, Bill, is like, as we're looking to, grow and expand our team, is I remember being a new grad, right? And I remember looking at my options of where to work, right? I didn't feel like I could graduate and open up my own practice. I physically didn't feel ready, financially also. I was pretty low on funds at that point, and like, okay, how am I gonna do this, right? And so as I looked around for opportunities, I was pretty dead set on practicing NUCCA. I didn't want to practice a different, even another upper cervical technique. I mean, I was that like laser focused on it. But as I looked, I mean, there was just like honestly zero options, and it was scary. It was really, I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Here I am. I felt a little bit of like, wow, did I think this through? Like, here I'm getting ready to graduate, and what am I going to do? And so I know there are other people that are, that are in those shoes right now, right? and they're not really sure of where they want to go or what they want to do per se. I really would have appreciated an opportunity like we have now, right? To bring someone on and not just, and have them really, know that we want what's best for them, right? And have them learn, right? There's a learning curve with being able to take care of people, whether you're upper cervical or regular chiropractic, doesn't matter. Like you have to step in and just do it. You can't really just working with the public and taking care of them is you don't really know until you're in it. And so I know that there's somebody out there that's looking for an opportunity, and we're looking for them, right? And just really being able to know that sometimes when you don't know what the next best step to take is, right? Like you just have to trust, and it cuts both ways. And I think that it's really, really important as we bring somebody new on. We really care about our patients, so we want them to be in excellent hands, right? As they're being taken care of. And by the same token, I know there's a lot of doctors out there that, a lot of them were my classmates at that time as we would talk, right? Like, okay, here we go. We're getting ready to graduate. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So just looking for someone that wants to learn and wants to, be a part of what we've developed so far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and I think, you mentioned it, you guys are committed to training, you're committed to systems and helping to really develop a team. And and when you're bringing on an associate like this into that type of a situation, it can be a great situation for them. And, we've been recommending on this podcast for all these years, if you're coming out of school, do an associate position first, right? It's so important and crucial, and it will lead to more success in your chiropractic career if you learn from someone else and don't try to just figure it out on your own. I know you guys, you would have liked to do that. You just literally couldn't find a position. And that's what we want to continue to grow upper cervical and grow the connections within upper cervical so that more people can find associate positions like this great one that is available in your office. And so if you're interested in this associate position, we will have a link in the show notes for this episode right on our website. You can click on that, learn more about the web or more about this specific associate position in San Diego with Dr. Young and Dr. Tapia. So thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. Really appreciate you. And as we always say around here, go team upper cervical.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.